So I think the modern desk setup in the last few years has gotten a little bit out of hand. I think we are conditioned through YouTube and social media that we need to create the ultimate desk setup and we need to have a bunch of products and accessories and monitors, while in reality, most of it is kind of useless. And so I've fallen victim to this for sure. You know, if you look at my desk tour from the beginning of the year, I had 2 desks and they were both just jam-packed with stuff. And looking back at that video, everything was just so cluttered. And a lot of that had to do with the fact of what I was going through in my own life. I think, you know, at the beginning of this year, I was, going through my divorce, and I think just kind of buying and building these desk setups and accumulating all this stuff was just kind of how I was coping with what I was going through in my life at that time. And my life was messy, and I think my space kind of reflected that. But going into 2024, I'm in a much better place now than I was a year ago. So I kind of wanted my space to reflect that. So we've kind of trimmed out the fat of the setup. We've made it a lot more clean, a lot more intentional. And then it includes my desk setup. I've gone down to one desk setup, and I've trimmed it of pretty much all of the nonsense that was on it in the previous video to now it's just here to get work done. So we're gonna go over that today. One kind of editor's note is that I did have 2 displays on this desk up until about yesterday. I had the LG Dual Up on this desk, but right before I decided to film this video, it started flickering and having a bunch of issues, so I took it off, and I hopefully in the next few weeks I'll kind of see if I can get it working again, because I do feel, at least for my own workflow, I think for the average person, 1 screen is plenty, but for my own workflow, as a photographer and videographer, I find having the 2 screens to kind of manage file windows and things like that to be really helpful. So I'm a little bummed that the Dual Up has been acting up, but hopefully I can get it working. But for now, we're just using the one display. The display in question is still the Apple Studio display. I've been using this since last year, and it's still one of my favorite purchases that I've ever made. I can still recommend it wholeheartedly if you're looking to do any kind of creative work when it comes to color accuracy or photo and video editing. This is probably just the monitor you should get. Again, it is expensive, but it is worth the investment. My laptop also hasn't changed since last year. I'm still using the M1 Max MacBook Pro, 64 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. This thing is kind of starting to show its age for me. I'm having a lot of issues with it actually, but I think that's mostly just because I need to clean it off, and I think a good factory reset of the computer will make it like new. I just think I push it really hard every single day, and I just think I need to clean it off because everyone else seems to be doing fine with their M1 Max computer still, and I don't really want to get a new one. So yeah, mine's running a little slow, but I think I just need to go and kind of clean it up and give it some TLC. I have my laptop plugged into this CalDigit TS4 dock. This is probably the best kind of Thunderbolt hub you can get for your Mac. It's got every kind of port that you're gonna need. I actually really like that it has a micro SD card slot, because when it comes to dumping my drone footage, it means I don't have to find the little micro SD to SD card adapter. I can just take the micro SD card out of the drone, put it into the computer right here, and get on with my day. Next to it, I also do have Sony's SD/CF Express card reader, because I do film all of my videos on CF Express cards. I don't really know why, to be honest. I haven't really seen any benefit to doing so, but I bought them and they're very expensive, so I just keep using them. But in more cases than not, the CF Express cards just kind of make my workflow a little bit more of a hassle. So I don't quite recommend them for the price, but I have them, so I gotta get my monies out of them. So for peripherals, I've actually switched things up. I've kind of moved away from the mechanical keyboard space. I just feel like it was a rabbit hole that I kind of went down, but it was one of those ones that you're never quite satisfied with, so you're constantly spending more and more money to build a new keyboard, and your taste changes and how you want it to sound, and it was just kind of an unnecessary expenditure for me, and so I kind of just ditched it entirely. And so I've switched back over to the Apple Magic Keyboard with Touch ID, And honestly, I really do like typing on this keyboard. I think I type the fastest on the Apple keyboard, and having Touch ID is really nice for logging in and out of my computer and, you know, doing passwords and things like that. So yeah, back on the Apple Magic Keyboard. I have also added the Magic Trackpad, and I pretty much just use this as a gesture pad for like zooming in and out of my timelines in Final Cut Pro and, you know, swiping between spaces and things like that. So I don't actually use it as a mouse. For my mouse, I am still using a Logitech G Pro X Superlight. This one, however, is the Mark II. It now finally has USB Type-C, so I was able to get rid of my last micro USB cable. So that's really nice. I am a firm believer in gaming mice for productivity. I just think they're lighter and more comfortable to use, and they're just more accurate. I hate the MX Master 3S. I just think it is clunky and heavy, and it's not very precise, so not a big fan of it. But yeah, if you want a good mouse, the Logitech G Pro X Superlight is my recommendation of choice, and I promise if you use it, you will not regret it. It is super great. For audio, I have my AirPods Max still, and if you remember in my last video, I said that I didn't really use them super often because they pretty much were always dead because I never bothered to charge them. But since then, I've actually found this charging dock for them over on Amazon, and this has been kind of a game changer. Now my AirPods Max have a place to live on my desk. There's a little magnetic adapter you plug into your AirPods so that they charge when they're in the stand, and it just means that they're always ready to go when I need to use them, which means I just use them a lot more. I'll have the dock and everything else I've talked about listed down in the description below, so you can go check it out for yourself. But yeah, the dock has been probably my favorite addition to my desk setup. Other than that, I just kind of have some decorative pieces here on the desk. My mouse pad is a white topographic style one from High Ground. I also have this little tray here from IKEA. It is housing an old film camera I got from my uncle after he passed, and then it's also where I store my SSDs that I edit off of when I'm not using them. The desk is from IKEA. I believe it is the Bacant, and then my chair is actually now a Herman Miller Aeron, which I got for 400 bucks off of Facebook Marketplace, which is a steal if you know anything about these chairs. They're usually like $1,200 to $1,600, but I was able to find a pretty good one used, and it's been absolutely great. In my previous video, I know I was complaining about the chairs I had and how I had originally sold my Herman Miller M-Body, and ever since I made that video, I had wanted to get another Herman Miller chair, and I finally have one, and my back is very thankful because it is really comfy. And I do think that the Aeron is more comfortable than the M-Body. I think the Herman Miller M-Body chair kind of makes it's like a statement piece, and it is comfortable, don't get me wrong, but it's more about the aesthetic of it than the actual like functionality, whereas the Aeron is kind of pretty much all functionality, and it's very comfortable to sit in. But yeah, that'll do it for my desk setup going into 2024. Like I said, there's not a lot to talk about because there's just not a lot here. There's nothing really special about it. It's just here to kind of get the job done. I have gone over and cleaned out my entire room. You can probably notice that the aesthetic of these videos is quite a bit different than they were a couple months ago. Like I said, I went through a pretty deep clean of kind of my space so that I was ready to go for 2024. So if you want to kind of see a full room tour and see what the rest of the room looks like now, let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to kind of make a part 2 to this video showing off the rest of the space. Other than that, I wish you all a happy new year, and I'm excited to be making more YouTube videos this year. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.